everyone. Today we're going to talk about our Unit 1, solving quadratics by factoring. And this is Miss Rossi here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through a couple of examples where we are going to solve an equation that has a quadratic in it. So what we're going to do, right, so we're going to write out some instructions to solve a quadratic by factoring. Now, not all quadratics will be able to solve this way, but the ones that I'm going to give you today will. So over here, let's do an example. And I'm going to start with something that looks like x squared minus 3x equals 28. Now, the first thing you want to notice that this is an equation. Right here. This is an equation. So this is different than a lot of the other expressions that we've done. We've just simplified things before. This time we're actually looking for an answer. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the equation equal to 0. So over here in this case, I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. So I have x squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0. Once I have it equal to 0, we are going to factor the one side that's left, right? So the expression on the left here. So I'm going to factor x squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0. So I'm thinking of two numbers that multiply to negative 28, but add to negative 3. So negative 7 and positive 4. All right, now what we have to use is the zero product rule. So we know that in order to multiply two things to get 0, one of them has to be 0. So we are going to use the zero product rule. And we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So I'm going to break these two up into two separate equations. So x minus 7 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0. The next thing you want to do is you want to solve each equation. So if I add 7 to both sides, I get x equals 7. Over here, subtract 4 from both sides, I get x equals negative 4. So my solutions, right? So my solutions, or another word for these are my roots. And another word for these also is zeros of the equation are 7 and negative 4. Now, if I were to graph this equation, what I would be looking at is where exactly the graph crossed the y-axis. Okay. Now, step 5 would be to check both answers. Now to check, I would take them and I would plug them in. So if I did 7 squared minus 3 times 7, so 49 minus 21 will give me 28. If I square negative 4, getting 16. 16 plus 12, also giving me 28. All right, so let's try another example. All right, so my second example, d squared, let's erase that, doesn't look so good. So d squared plus 3d equals 40. Okay, so again, let's get this equal to 0 by subtracting 40 from both sides. Now I'm going to factor both sides of this. All right, so let's see. I'm looking for numbers that multiply to negative 40, but add to 3. So I'm going to be thinking of an 8 and a 5. Now I'm going to break them apart. set them both equal to 0. And my solutions are -8 or 5. And those are both of my roots. Okay, let's try another one. All right, this one's f squared minus 6f equals 0. Now notice this one is equal to 0 already, so we're already set there. And what I'm looking for is how do I factor this? So I'm actually looking at an f squared and a 6f. They both have a common factor of f. So f times f minus 6 equals 0. Okay, now set these both equal to 0. So f equals 0, f minus 6 equals 0. So nothing to do on the left there. So f equals 0 or f equals positive 6. All right, and let's try just 2 more. All right. Okay, so example 4. Let's talk about k squared minus 9 equals 0. So this one, when I factor, I've got the difference of 2 squares. So k minus 3 times k plus 3 equals 0. And set them both equal to 0. So my answers are 3 or -3. And another way to write that would be k equals plus or minus 3. So either way you'd want to present your answer would be appropriate. All right, let's try one last example. All right, so this one is x to the third minus 7x squared equals 8x. All right, so first let's get this equal to 0. So x to the third minus 7x squared minus 8x equals 0. Oh, now we have a GCF. So I have x, now I have an x squared minus 7x minus 8 equals 0. I'm going to bring that x down, and now I'm going to factor. So I'm looking for numbers that multiply to -8, add to -7, so -8 and +1. And now that I have all 3 of these factors, I'm actually going to get 3 answers. This happens to be a cubic equation, so it might cross 3 times. So my answers are x equals 0, x equals 8, x equals -1. All right, let me know if you have any questions.